Hi everyone, it's Don once again with another video for you. This is video number 129. I'm standing here out in front of the Franklin Recreation Center, which just opened this past week. I'm going to go inside and take a look around and show you what it looks like, how it's furnished, and how it's decorated. It's a very gorgeous place. We'll do that in just a minute. Also in this video, of course, we're going to take a look at Eastport and the work going on there. We'll take a look at Middleton. At Middleton, I've taken a little bit different approach than I've done before in shooting the schools. This time I do an orbit around each of the schools. You'll get a good look at what they look like from the outside. The weather for the last few weeks has been a little bit difficult for me to deal with. Between the rains and the heavy winds, I haven't been able to get out and shoot a whole lot of video. But I did put together a piece for you that I think you'll like. In this piece, I take a look at the homes being built here in the villages. Not only the ones going on now, but the ones that have gone on through the past few decades here in the villages and how things have changed. I'll give you a good look at those. And of course, at the end of that, we're going to get into something new. That something new is Unit 84. I've gathered enough information and facts to know exactly what's happening in Unit 84, and I'm going to share that with you. You're going to find it out first here. Along with that, we're going to take a look at a few other areas here in the villages. But for now, let's get started. Let's head on into the Franklin Recreation Center, and I'm going to show you around. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. The Franklin Recreation Center is watermelon themed. Because of the history in this area, decades ago, they used to farm a lot of watermelons. This video was shot the Friday after it opened, and as you can see by the wet ground, it had been raining all day. As with most recreation centers, it's very nicely appointed. We'll go inside and take a look around. As I said, watermelon is the theme for this rec center, and it's everywhere. Everywhere you look, there is watermelon, or something about watermelon. The colors are pink as in watermelon. The black is the same color as the seeds in watermelon. The green is the color of the watermelon rind. The Franklin Recreation Center is on Megison Road in the middle of the village of Newell. All of the pictures and all of the memorabilia around the rec center are all about, you guessed it, watermelon. The design team certainly pulled out all the stops on this rec center when it came to decorating for a theme. Watch for the date and time for another ice cream social at Darlin's Sweet Shop in Sawgrass Market. The last ice cream social, we raised over $275 that will go to help support Thanksgiving dinner for all the village's fire stations. On October 6th, Nothing Bundt Cakes will be celebrating their second year anniversary and is hosting a fundraiser for us to help benefit the firefighters. Please come and join us. More details to come. Even the bathroom tile in the men's room is watermelon green. I did ask, in the ladies' room it's not pink. This is the big room at the rec center. And no, the fruit's not real, but the theme does continue to carry on throughout the rec center. Unlike most village rec centers, Franklin Recreation Center does not have a card room, but it does have a very big game room called the Sugar Lee Room. In addition to a couple of pool tables and a couple of tabletop shuffleboards, there are 2 video game machines here, if you're so inclined to this kind of activity. There's also several dartboards and a ping pong table, as well as video arcade machines. I can't help but actually wonder how much money I would actually have in the bank if I had all the quarters back that I spent in these machines from when I was in my 20s. I guess I should consider myself lucky I spent so many years underwater in a submarine not playing these games. Even the warming kitchen doesn't let you forget about watermelons. What a shade of green, huh? Outside, there's also a family pool and lots of outdoor activities here at the Franklin Recreation Center. But as I said, the watermelon theme carries on. Maybe a little too far. Even in the bathroom, there was an air freshener that smelled like watermelons. I probably won't eat watermelon the rest of the summer after visiting the Franklin Recreation Center. But it's a beautiful place nonetheless. Let's face it, we're not as young as we once were. Climbing those old-fashioned attic stairs to get the Christmas decorations down or to stow those family treasures is just too dangerous. Magic stairs is the safer alternative. Real steps with safety rails at a safer angle and safety rails in the attic provide the safest attic access available. Having troubles getting things to and from the attic? The Magic Attic Lift can be there to help. Designed by Village's resident Ron Berner, every Magic Stairs and Magic Attic Lift is custom built in their Ocala, Florida factory and installed by their technicians. Why take chances? For less than the cost of one emergency room visit, you can have Magic Stairs installed in your home. Magic Stairs, the safer, more convenient alternative. So welcome to another Then and Now session. This is the village of Bradford and Hawkins. The first thing we see is the bridge that goes through the woods that connects Bradford with the village of Chitty Chatty. Besides some roadwork, this was the first structure that was visible in Bradford from Morse Boulevard. These woods are part of the 1,000+ acres that make up the Chitty Chatty Preserve. This villa community was the first to be a mixed villa community. It has both courtyard villas and veranda homes, something that was very new here in the villages. It's hard to believe it's been 4 years since they started work on the traffic circle that breaks off Morse and Warm Springs. The village of Bradford, as well as Chitty Chatty and the rest of the villages south of State Road 44, represented a significant change in the way things were being done. The retention ponds. You can see one here. They've become much larger, and they've moved them to the peripheral of the property instead of being in the center. And they also put a walking path around the far side and homes on the near side. A bit of a different design. It makes the retention ponds bigger, easier to take care of, less expensive to take care of, and it offers some very unique lots where you have a water view, you have a woodlands view, but you don't have the woods growing into your backyard like we have in a lot of other areas here in the villages. The woods are again part of the Chitty Chatty Preserve. During construction, a lot of animals fled into here, and now, as many residents are finding out, the animals are coming back out, and unfortunately, they're causing a lot of problems in some areas with some of the animals digging up the property. Sawgrass Grove is at the top of the screen. We're flying over the west end of the village of St. Catherine. In the 2019 view, you can see many of the dozens of dump trucks that were actively moving the soil and clay around in this area. This went on for months, and then all of a sudden it stopped, and it seemed like the next day home construction began. Before work started in this was part of the old Bailey farm, and it was all pasture land. There were a few trees scattered around, but mainly it was just wide open grassland used for cattle grazing. There were very few trees in this area, and now there are several thousand that have been planted. There was also very little water. There was some wetlands area, but the rest of it was just grasslands. Now there's lots of water, and the retention ponds are all full, and the alligators and other critters are coming out of the Chitty Chatty swamp area and occupying. I don't think I've seen a single one of these retention ponds that doesn't have a resident alligator anymore. This is the village of Hawkins, and like most other villages, there are quite a few breadcrumb communities in Hawkins. You know what I mean by breadcrumb community? You gotta leave a trail of breadcrumbs to find your way through the maze that makes up some of the streets here. And of course, no street in the villages is straight. It can be confusing, but you get used to it after a while. Coming up is one of the many wells and storage facilities for potable water here in the villages. Contrary to what several YouTubers had put out a while ago, this is not a sewage facility. This is potable water, your drinking water, and that's a 1.5 million gallon storage facility. This Then and Now segment was sponsored by A Rack Above, a new advertiser here on my channel. If you have a garage storage issue, which who doesn't, give A Rack Above a call and use the promo code Wingnut and get a 5% discount on your purchase. These 3 undeveloped corners at the intersection of Warm Springs Avenue and Megison are all scheduled for commercial development, and I'm really surprised because they haven't even pulled permits yet. I had expected that by now they would have already started work. Next up, we're going to look at Middleton. As I said at the intro, I did this one a little bit easier. This looks like a bowl of spaghetti on the map. I took 4 separate flights, one around each school and one around the downtown. Here we go. This is the Early Learning Center, or pre-K, if you will. It's probably the least farthest along of any of the schools, but even it is scheduled to open up on about August 10th. As with all the schools here in Middleton, this is a pretty good sized facility, so they expect quite a bit of usage out of it, I'm sure. As I come around the backside, we'll get a good look at the courtyard here, or the playground. You'll see it's got no grass. My suspicion is that they're going to put that rubberized surface down because it's a little bit safer, and it seems like kids are always allergic to something new, so instead of having grass there, they'll have the rubberized surface. Plus, if they were going to put grass in, it would already be in. And if you notice the black dots, those are drain holes. So again, more indications of a rubberized surface here. On the back side, as well as the front side, it looks like they have loading and unloading lanes for the parents. This is something common in all the schools here, multiple loading and unloading zones. As you can see in this shot, all of the schools are close together. This is very different than what we see in the rest of the country, where the schools are normally spread apart.
Mitsubishi Electric cooling and heating systems give you the control to adjust the temperature room by room. So it's always comfortable in the living room, bedroom, rooms for cat people, rooms for dog people, rooms without people, old rooms, and smart ones.
Mitsubishi Electric. Make yourself comfortable.
Now we're looking at the K-8 school, an impressive facility in its own right. Behind it, you can see the homes there in Middleton. Many of these students will probably be walking to school their entire lives. As you can see, here's 2 of the loading zones in the front of the school, and on the back side there's 2 more. There's a large playground area that's age-specific. There's also several basketball courts and its own football field. A little unusual to see a football field and track of this quality for a middle school or an elementary school. The large building you see in front of the basketball courts is the gymnasium, and just beyond it is the cafeteria. There's also 2 practice football fields, as well as a baseball or softball field for the students in the K-8 school. Here's another of the loading and unloading zones for the students, and just beyond it are 2 tennis courts. For those who aren't really familiar with the villages, you gotta ask the question, why in the heck are they building schools? It's a retirement community. Because it takes a large support community to support this retirement community, and they need good schools to attract the people to come here. If you have a teaching professional in your family and they're looking to relocate to Florida, the charter school system is hiring, and you'll find no better school system for them to work than the village's charter schools. This is the new high school. It's moving along quickly also. A lot of work has been accomplished in the last couple of weeks. I've been told that the only thing possibly not ready at opening day of school will be the Performing Arts Center, but it's not a high priority item. This is the teacher and faculty parking lot, and coming up is the high school football field and track. What an incredible facility this is going to be for the students. In the foreground is the baseball field, and the background is the softball field. These, as well as the football field, all have artificial turf, not natural grass. The practice fields, however, are natural grass. The parking lots you see here are for all the high school students. This building in the back is the cafeteria, and the big building coming up is the academic building. In the back is the gym and the Performing Arts Center. The high school also has a student loading and unloading area, but it's not nearly as extensive as the K-8 school. Since the last video, a lot of progress has been made on the courtyard here in the high school. It appears to be nearly finished, just a little bit left to go here in the back. Here we can see 8 tennis courts have been built, and the practice football field. And of course, the Olympic-sized swimming pool for the swim team is still under construction, but it's nearing completion also. Here we're getting a good look at the commercial properties that are being built in the Middleton downtown area. Most of these will be commercial buildings, stores, shops, restaurants, etc. The upstairs on at least one of these buildings will be office space for a major tenant. While these buildings appear to be coming along quite quickly, it's still going to be many months before they actually open up. There's a lot of other work that's got to be done, parking lots, roads, etc., before these will actually open, plus the actual build-out of the interiors, which normally comes after they lease the property. I've talked with a lot of the workers and contractors working on this site, as well as in the homes being built here in the villages. All have the same problem. They're all looking for help. If you have somebody in your family that's looking to relocate to Florida, and they need a good job, and they're in the construction trades, this may be the right place for them. This is one of those unique places in the construction industry where you can stay a long time in one location. I was in construction for 20 years. It was a very transient workforce where they moved from job to job. Here, I've met second and third generation workers who are building homes for the villages just like their fathers and grandfathers or mothers and grandmothers were. And based on the amount of land that the developer currently owns and will soon acquire, there's probably another 20 to 25 years worth of work here working to build the villages. I'll continue to keep a close watch on Middleton and bring you updates as they occur. It should be interesting to watch when the school opens to see how traffic is going to be routed around all this construction. We'll move a little to the north now, to Magnolia Plaza, where 7-Eleven is being built, and see the progress there. Well, 7-Eleven is done. They just haven't stocked the shelves and opened the doors. Who knows what's going on? It's all quiet on this one. But if we rotate to the right a little bit, this is where CVS is supposed to be going in. And it looks like it's going to move forward. I've seen the first real sign of movement and confirmation, finally. If you go to the village's website and look at the map and you zoom in on Magnolia Plaza, you'll see that the building outline is now there, and the shape of it is pretty typical of a CVS or Walgreens. What the actual construction timeline is, nobody knows. Nothing's out there yet. We'll keep watching it.
Hi, I'm Jeff Monash with Village Air Filters. Are you tired of wasting money on throwaway paper air filters? I can save you money with my lifetime permanent washable air filters. Just buy it once and never buy another air filter again. Rinse it out and then just slide it right back in. My filters are custom made in the US and they have a lifetime warranty. Give me a call at 352-388-1230 or visit my website at villageairfilters.com.
Let's jump back to the south again, where Fire Station 48 and the Shallow Creek Championship Golf Course are being built. This is the intersection of County Road 470, Marsh Bend Trail, and Central Parkway, where they're building the new fire station. Here you can see the footprint for the fire station. And then we have these other buildings here. There's some construction trailers. The tan-colored permanent building here is a pumping station to move water between retention ponds. It's the white tent that's got me scratching my head. Nobody I know of can tell me what it is either. I guess I'm just going to have to go by there and knock on the door and see what's up. Let's head south now to the village of Moultrie Creek and to where they're building the Shallow Creek Championship Golf Course. Based on the current construction progress of all the areas south of Monarch Grove and on this side of the turnpike, Moultrie Creek will be the first age-restricted village built in this area of the villages. When they'll start actually building homes is still unknown, but as you can see, many of the lots are already laid out and a lot of the residential streets are already done, or at least their initial layer of asphalt. All the utility mains are also going in at this time. It does seem apparent now that this area will probably have to move along pretty quickly to keep up because the village of Dabney is quickly coming under construction with homes, so it won't be too much longer till this area is absolutely needed to maintain inventory. As we move towards the Shallow Creek Championship course, we can see that the site work has already started on the country club facility for this course. The aprons around the greens, tee box, and of course sand traps are all growing in. It won't be too much longer till they start sprigging the fairways. At the top of the screen is the area that will one day be known as the village of Shady Brook. We'll continue to rotate around. We'll head back towards the north, across the village of Moultrie Creek, where we'll see more of these large retention ponds I spoke of earlier. Again, this seems to be the new norm, larger retention ponds, which means less maintenance, less work, and lower costs for the future residents of this area. I'll continue more to the north, and we'll come back up to the intersection of Central Parkway and Marsh Bend Trail. On the far side of this intersection is the village of Lakeview, and just beyond that is Eastport, but we'll get back to Eastport in just a minute and see what's going on there. And you can see that work is also already beginning on the Executive Golf Course being built in this area. Let's zip back on up to the north end of the villages where the Hacienda Hills Championship Golf Course starter facility and new homes are being built. At the south end, they're building a new starter shack and parking area. As we rotate around, we can see that they've already started tearing up some of the old parking area that was here for Hacienda Hills Country Club. New parking area has already been poured. This guy was actually taking a quick break when I finally got the drone in the air. I'll rotate around and we'll get a look at the northeast end of this area being developed. We've got the pool building and the swimming pool under construction, as well as the pad for a couple of pickleball courts. And a little farther up, we can see the mail station is under construction. They were putting roof trusses on the day I was there. It's been a little over a week since I shot this, so I'm pretty sure the roof is on this facility now. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notifications so you know when each new video comes out. And feel free to leave me comments. I'll try and answer as best I can. Let's head now back down to Eastport and look at the work that's going on there. Here's one of the big off-road articulated dump trucks that's bringing dirt in to do some fill work. This truck is about 12 feet tall and 38 feet long, and you can see it's going down into the bottom of the pond. This pond is deep, probably 24, 25, maybe even 30 feet deep. This truck can hold about 45 tons of payload, or about 30 cubic yards of dirt. That's a huge load. And they run from sun up till sundown. At the end of the day, Rainey parks all the trucks together so that the fuel trucks can come out and fuel each of these. These things each hold about 150 gallons of diesel fuel. The work that these trucks do is one of the many things that the bond money is used for. So here's more of Central Lake, and as you can see, they're hauling in the fill to cover the barrier before they fill the lake. As we go up and over the lake, you can see that the level is continuously going up. We'll make 2 passes across so you get a good view of this. The island itself is almost an island now, except for the land bridge coming across that's going to be used for construction on it. At some point in the coming weeks, they'll either breach or overflow the earthen dam that's keeping the water from filling the southern part of the lake. The only thing really left before doing that is to finish covering the protective barrier.
So you're looking for a Murphy bed? Well, we offer Murphy beds, yes, but we offer something very unique. We offer quality, aesthetics that enhance your home, enhance your lifestyle. We've got all wood veneers, period. Dovetail construction on the drawers, full extension slides on the drawers. Nobody will beat our quality, nobody will beat our service, but again, it's all about lifestyle and aesthetics for your beautiful home. Murphy Office.
The west end of the lake is getting its final fill, and then the protective barrier is being laid before the backfill occurs. Here you can see the workers pulling out the plastic for this protective barrier. I don't know if it's plastic or rubber. It's a very heavy material though. Once the sheets are laid down, the seams are sealed to make this a completely waterproof barrier. The next segment, we're going to talk about the homes that have been built here in the villages and Unit 84. But before I get to that, I wanted to share with you what my summer is going to look like this year. It's going to be very busy. These two are my pups. They're golden retrievers, Lily in the front, Sully in the back. And Lily is very, very pregnant. We're expecting a large litter based on her size, and they're due sometime around the 2nd of July. Some of the pups are already spoken for, but depending on the litter size, we should have others available also around the 1st of September. So stay tuned for more updates on Lily and her pups. So let's talk about the homes here in the villages and how they've changed. And more specifically, at the end, we're going to talk about what is Unit 84. The villages started out in the early 70s when Harold Schwartz started with a mobile home park. It took them quite a few years to sell the homes, but they managed. This mobile home park is the area north of US 27 and 441, commonly referred to as the historic section of the Villages. It consists of Orange Blossom Gardens, Silver Lake, and Country Club Hills. Now, this isn't your typical trailer park that you would think of. These homes are all very well maintained. There's a few that could use a little work, but for the most part, very well maintained, very attractive homes. A few years ago, this area saw revitalization happening in the form of site-built homes replacing old mobile homes. They were hauled away, the lots were cleared, and brand new homes were built. Soon they moved south of 44 in the early 90s. They started with some site-built homes, commonly referred to as modular homes or manufactured homes. Very attractive homes, and driving through the area, they're all very well maintained. These were the first homes built south of 27 and 441. The next type of homes to appear were the courtyard villas. In fact, the first set of courtyard villas was called courtyard villas. The courtyard villas are probably the most dramatically changed homes in all of the villages, and they're still being built today. They started out in the 1,000 to 1,200 square foot range, smaller homes designed for the more price-conscious buyer. There was a very limited selection of floor plans and paint jobs, and they all had 1.5 car garages. But they turned out to be very popular, one because of cost. But the other two that still prevail today are privacy, because they have a fenced-in yard, and of course, pets. This is why I bought a courtyard villa. You saw my two just a few minutes ago. Having a fenced-in yard is a huge, huge advantage. Over the years, the size of courtyard villas started to increase up to about 1,500 or 1,600 square feet with new models as they moved south and west of the original area. Courtyard villas were originally block homes. When the villages moved south of 466, they became even more popular, and the sided courtyard villas started to appear. Courtyard villas south of 466 were still all basically the same color, and the sided homes had all the same color siding. Maybe a few shades different here and there, but all basically the same. Things really started to change when the villages moved south of 466. More colors, expanded rooms, they started stretching rooms out. 2-car garages started to appear during the builds. Also, courtyard villas went from block homes to poured concrete. Also appearing at this time was the next level of courtyard villas. You can see these homes in the communities of Hacienda at Mission Hills, up at the corner of 466 and Morse Boulevard, Antrim Dells, and Alden Bungalows down by Brownwood. The floor plans, however, changed very little over the first 20 to 25 years. Then they moved south of 44. The first few sets of courtyard villas in the village of Finney were a lot like most of those north of 44. Then some new floor plans started to appear. They shared some of the original names, but one of the big things that changed was a common complaint of the laundry rooms being in the garages. Now laundry rooms were moved inside the homes on all the floor plans. Previously, there had only been 2 or 3 models that actually had inside laundry rooms. For us, we bought an Arlington. It was one of the few floor plans that did have the inside laundry room. Also, 2-car garages started to become standard. And then 2-car plus golf cart garages started to become standards. Of course, with all these improvements, prices over the years have gone up. Now it's not uncommon to see a price north of $700,000 for a courtyard villa. Something new eventually had to be added to the inventory: the patio villa. The first set of patio villas were built in the village of Rio Ponderosa, and amazingly, they were called patio villas. Patio villas are a much simpler home. Normally 2 bedrooms, there are a few 3-bedroom homes, and some 1-bedroom homes, but they're all in about the 900 to 1,200 square foot area. They were also very price conscientious. About 10 years ago, when I moved in, most patio villas were in the $130,000 to $160,000 range. Now many are selling well above $300,000. Patio villas again stayed pretty constant until they moved south of 44. Now, all of a sudden, there were new models. Some had full 2-car garages. Some had a 2-car garage plus a golf cart garage. Some had a 1.5-car garage, in other words, golf cart and car goes into it, plus another golf cart garage. Some of the newer ones also have carports, something new seen for patio villas. Still to this day, the patio villas represent the entry-level market and are very popular for home rentals.
Mitsubishi Electric cooling and heating systems give you the control to adjust the temperature room by room, so it's always comfortable in the living room, bedroom, rooms with ducts, rooms without ducts, rooms with all ducts, old rooms, and smart ones.
Mitsubishi Electric. Make yourself comfortable.
The next type of homes to appear were cottages. These were a little bit bigger than a courtyard villa, but not quite as big as a designer home. In the 12 to 1,500 square foot range, cottage homes were designed to appeal to a broad market because of their moderate size and their price. All cottage homes that I've seen are stick-and-sided homes. There's no block homes, and this helps keep the cost down. Of course, over the years, they've tried a few things. North of 466A, there's Nash Loop. This was a set of cottage homes that also had fenced-in yards. Moving south of State Road 44, a new home type was introduced, the cottage villas. These again were just like the ones on Nash Loop. They were cottage homes with a fenced-in yard. Once again, trying to appeal to people that want their privacy and they have pets, and they wanted a little bit bigger house and a little bit bigger yard. When they started building south of 27441, they also introduced the designer home. These are the most popular homes in the villages. They represent about 65 to 70% of all the homes here in the villages. There's lots of floor plan options, and custom builds can be done on specific lots. Custom builds could include things like expanded rooms, expanded garages, sometimes moving around some walls. South of 44, some of these custom-built homes are well in excess of 3,000 square feet, and some even at the 4,000 square foot mark. But they did have a little bit of a problem with the designer homes. If you weren't on a corner or an exterior lot or a view lot or a waterfront lot or maybe a golf course front lot, then you have what's commonly referred to as kissing lanais. The distance between the two lanais that back up to each other in adjacent homes was very, very small. And if you were sitting out back reading your morning paper, you could easily hold a conversation with your next door neighbor. When they moved south of 44, though, they did some changes. They made the driveways shorter. They made the lanais a little bit deeper. And they moved the homes closer to the street, opening up the area between the homes in the back, giving you a little bit more privacy. Of course, they didn't stand still with just those. They added what's now called veranda homes. Veranda homes are simply a designer home with a fenced-in yard. One of the big differences, though, with veranda homes is there was no customization allowed. You got what you got. They were basically spec homes. Not a bad thing here in the villages. The spec homes these days are far and away above what you typically think of as a spec home. Another item that's changed with the designer homes is the garages have increased. Initially, they all had 2-car garages. Then they started adding a golf cart garage. Pretty soon we started seeing 3-car garages. Now 4-car garages are not uncommon, and sometimes even larger. So at this point, I have covered about 95% of the homes here in the villages, but let's pause for just a minute. Over the years, the villages has tried many new things and many ideas. If you go to Spanish Springs and you go around the outside, you'll see some townhouses in Spanish Springs. These are very nice 2-story homes. They also tried a 2-story courtyard villa called a designer villa. Over by the Glenview Country Club, there are the carriage houses. Again, more townhouses. And one of my favorite floor plans they also tried was the Casa Grande. This is a split floor plan where you actually didn't enter into the house when you went into the front door. You entered into a courtyard, and there was 2 sections to the house. A separate room on one side with possibly a bathroom, and then the rest of the house on the other. And then, of course, there are the cottage homes at Lake Sumter Landing. These are homes on the larger size, and they all have their own special names. So they did a lot of different things over the years. Now let's move on to the big boys, the premier homes. The premier homes are geared to the more affluent buyer. The home lots are bigger, the homes are bigger, normally starting at about 2,500 square feet and going up. A few have even topped the 4,000 square foot range. The first set of premier homes was in Harmswood. The lots here all were at least a half-acre in size, some of them even more. The wider lots gave rise to homes with a very large facade. 3-car garages were quite common, and a few have even had as many as an 8-car garage. And a couple even have RV garages. Ceilings are all 10 to 12 foot high. These are very high-end homes. If you look at home sales right now, it's rare to find one less than $1 million. And it's even not uncommon to see them north of $2 million. And most premier homes sit on great locations. Many are near Lake Sumter Landing. They're on golf courses. There's a great section of premier homes in the Fruitland Park section of the villages called Conservation Trail. Conservation Trail, though, was the last set of premier homes built. They stopped building these homes about 5 or 6 years ago, and there's none south of State Road 44. So as you can see, there's lots of choices of homes here in the Villages. And for most, the type of home or where you live makes very little difference. Be it on the golf course, the pickleball court, playing cards at a rec center, or dancing in the square, we're all equals here, enjoying our retirement and all the benefits this great community has to offer. So this brings us now to Unit 84. So what is Unit 84? Or better yet, where is it? Let's answer the second one first. Unit 84 is this island out at the west end of Dabney, just north of the main area of the village of Dabney, and it's 121 lots, and it's literally an island because it's not connected with any other village's property. The road between the rest of Dabney and Unit 84 is actually not village's property. That's part of the conservation area that's owned by the city of Leesburg. If you look at this map, you'll see this small area over here in the corner. This is a U.S. Navy sonar testing station. It's been there since the 50s. It's called Bug Springs. It's about 400 feet wide and 175 feet deep, and it's infested with alligators. But we're getting sidetracked. Let's get back to Unit 84. What do we know? Here's some of the things I found out. Most of the lots are about 85 to 100 feet wide, which is about 15 to 30 feet wider than the typical designer home. Also, the typical lot is about 125 feet deep, and some corner lots are over 250 feet deep. Another thing we know about them is the bond. The bond in Unit 84 is about double the typical bond in the rest of CDD 14. But we're not going to delve too much into the bond right now. In fact, 4 years ago I released a video on the bonds, and this summer, because it looks like I'm going to be pretty busy with puppies all summer, I'm going to redo that video. I've gotten better at my video editing skills, so hopefully it'll be a little more presentable. What else do we know about Unit 84? It has its own postal station. The entire unit is also completely surrounded by very tall trees. I was up there, I listened to it during the day, and I didn't really hear any noticeable turnpike noise like you hear in other areas, such as Monarch Grove, parts of Linden, Hawkins, Citrus Grove, Newell, Lake Denham, and Dabney. So it seems like it's going to be a very quiet neighborhood. Of course, on a quiet night, you'll still probably hear the turnpike noise or in the early morning hours. I live nearly 4 miles from the turnpike, and I hear it sometimes in the morning when I'm reading my newspaper out on the front lanai. So what does all this mean? It means we're seeing a reemergence of premier homes for the first time south of State Route 44. This would also explain the drastic cuts that they did about a year ago, customizing, on designer homes. My take on it is they didn't want to cannibalize from the premier home market with these supersized designer homes that were starting to be built. But what about price? Resale premier homes are rarely less than $1 million, so anticipating a starting point of about $900,000 is probably not unreasonable, with most, if not all, being north of $1 million. Not in everyone's budget, obviously, but if you can, then I say, welcome neighbor, welcome to the Villages. Will this be the last we see of premier homes? I think not, and the Villages knows very well how to serve their market at all price ranges. So when will these homes hit the market? Based on the current progress in Dabney, I wouldn't be surprised to see sales start before the end of summer. So there you have it. Unit 84 is home to the first set of premier homes south of 44. Of course, none of this is an official word from the Villages. It's purely my research and work, and I'm probably going to receive a nasty call from the marketing department. So be it. This is all based on the information that's available, and I'd say there's very little chance I'm wrong on this. Well, there you have it. That wraps up this video for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're looking for a copy of the maps I use, please go to my website, goldwingnut.com. Click on the Villages Map tab. You'll find Bill's maps there. He has graciously decided to share them with everyone. As always, I'd like to remind you to please support my sponsors, as their support helps allow me to continue to make these videos. And remember to enjoy life, find the positive things, and live for the day. And remember the immortal words of Neil Young, "It's better to burn out than to fade away." I'm Don Wiley, and thanks for watching.